If you're looking for a grumpy Christmas movie to watch with your grumpy family members this holiday season, I got a movie for you. The Holdovers, directed by Alexander Payne, is a movie about a cranky history teacher, his complicated student, a cafeteria manager, all who are stuck at a boarding school during winter break. From the opening credits, this movie takes you to a 1970s empty and cold location right outside of Boston. And the location of this boarding school where these three main characters are staying is so cold and so empty, which is almost like a metaphor of how they're feeling at the moment. They're just feeling a little empty inside. And like the location, everything from the wardrobe to hairstyles of the students, the furniture, the cars, all have elements of care and love. The shots of the empty hallways at this school just feel so empty and so nostalgic, which is pretty much the tone of each character and the tone of the movie in general. And the tone is beautiful, and I was easily fooled that this was shot in film, but after a quick IMDb search, no, it's not. It was shot all digital, so the tone and look and feel were just done all in post-production. And when you mix all those elements of the tone with these incredible actors, what you end up getting is just a magical film that is worthy of your time, because you're about to see these beautiful humans that live behind these characters. The natural grumpiness of the history teacher, played by Paul Giamatti, the sadness in the eyes of the student, played by Dominic Sessa, and the strong and beautiful performance and presence of divine Joy Randolph. The performances from these three actors is worthy of all the nomination talks that are currently happening, especially for two of them. One of them being Paul Giamatti.
And if they want to drink Merlot, we're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
Okay, relax, Miles.
Paul Giamatti is one of my favorite actors. I first watched him in Sideways many years ago, which ironically is also directed by Alexander Payne. And when I was watching this movie, I couldn't help to think about another Paul Giamatti movie called Win-Win, where he plays a wrestling coach who then connects with a kid named Kyle. And Win-Win, like this movie, was also a balance of happiness and sadness, with a heartwarming message at the end where you see the main lead, Paul Giamatti, change because of the connection that he makes with a new kid in his life. And just going back to this role, for Paul Giamatti, it just seems like another day at the office, another day of a great performance, but this time with a little change in his eye, and also this time one that just seems very fitting. And I guess another thing that was fitting for Paul Giamatti was Dominic Sessa. At first, Dominic's character, I honestly didn't like very much. The kid is a little of a smartass, a troublemaker, and he wasn't very inviting from a character's perspective. But then we start seeing the sadness in the character, and we start also seeing the kindness in that character. And then you just slowly start to see this different side of him, and you're really cheering for him. You're really feeling for him. And he went from this smartass kid to just a troubled kid that probably needs a hug. It's a very interesting role because Dominic's character also has one of the funniest scenes in this movie, a scene that starts off as a joke, but then turns bad. And then this bad situation actually turns into a really big moment for Dominic's character and Paul Giamatti's character, because they basically have something now that bonds them that is a secret that they need to take to the grave. And so they just end up becoming a little bit closer and a little bit more open and honest with one another. But the actor who stole my heart in this movie is divine Joy Randolph. Her role of Mary, the cafeteria manager, is another empty, hurt, and damaged character in this movie. And her presence and her performance is just some of my favorite acting that I've seen this year.
Oh, the Osgood kid? Yeah, he was a real asshole. Rich and popular combination around here.
Divine has a way of acting with her eyes and her facial expression and her presence. There's a sense of performance quality and just strength every time she comes on the scene. For example, she also has this one powerful scene at a Christmas party that is just so smooth and so strong that when you see it in person at the movie theater, it's almost like you want to turn to the person next to you and just say, damn, that was so good. And that scene is actually like a very big turning point in the movie, because you see how far each of them have come, but also you see how far each of them have come together and what their friendship means from this point on in the movie. This movie was so sweet and so heartwarming, and it still had a darkness to it, which I really do enjoy. And I'm not saying they're the same, but Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne have the same kind of chemistry that a DiCaprio and a Scorsese would. Again, they're not the same levels of quality and track record, but when these two do come together, Paul and Alexander, it just works. And to wrap things up, this movie just reminded me of how important it is to not judge people until you actually get to know them, and that maybe sometimes you can find peace and resolution if you take a risk and be honest with others about what's going on with you. And that sometimes maybe it's okay to ask for a hug, or in this case, a gentleman's handshake, even to a grumpy, cranky history teacher, because you never know if they might need it too. That's all the time that I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you love movies, you should definitely subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace.